Burnout is now recognized as a condition at the World Health Organization and can be summed up as an overall feeling that the sacrifices that you're making are no longer worth the effort or the reward. Now, most people know that burnout happens when somebody feels overworked or fatigued or feeling resentment over too demanding work, but it can also happen when somebody feels insignificant in their workplace or doesn't feel a sense of belonging there or security or freedom or meaning in their work, or many other emotional reasons that we're going to go over in this webinar. And according to studies, nearly 8 in 10 employees experience burnout at least some of the time. And managers need to be on top of this because burnout is like a canary in the coal mine, meaning that it can foresee what's happening in the future of the company. Burnout translates to disengagement, missed deadlines, missed opportunities, a lack of ideas for growth, a lack of creativity in new products, poor customer service, safety issues, sick time, high turnover, lawsuits and litigation, and more. Companies are losing employees, including management, that lowers production and profits and increased costs. My name's Bill Farr, and I've been working with companies and individuals for over 20 years to help to avoid and overcome this before it overcomes the health and relationships of your employees and your connection to them, translating to the health of your company. Now, in this webinar, we're going to go over the causes as well as the ways to avoid and overcome this, because employees that are getting this eventually wind up leaving, and the new employees that take over for them have a very high likelihood of getting the same condition, creating a vicious cycle. So I'm going to go to screen share so you have a visual of what I'm talking about. And if you haven't already, there's a link for a PDF below so you can follow along there too. But just so you know how serious this is, observable changes in the brain are even being noticed in functional MRIs because of burnout. It actually makes part of the brain called the amygdala larger due to an overproduction of the stress hormone cortisol. This opens the door for more frequent activation of the fight or flight response, and this is why people who are dealing with burnout are so difficult to get along with. Typically, people with this withdraw mentally and physically. They withdraw from socializing, they bury their emotions, and become anxious and depressed. They feel that if they took a year off and traveled, that it would all go away, but within 1 month of being back with the same conditions, they feel the same. Same is true for taking sick days and vacation days. This is proven to be a bandage on a much larger problem. They also use antidepressants, which dull the mind and mental cognition, but not the burnout. They also use stimulants like coffee, alcohol, and drugs, and this leads to vicious cycles in addition to the burnout. Employees who experience burnout at work are 63% more likely to take a sick day and 23% more likely to visit the emergency room. They're 2.6 times more likely to leave their job, which means finding, hiring, and training replacements for employees into the same positions that are likely to cause new employees the same burnout as well. Now, 96% of leaders have this, at least to some degree, according to a Harvard study, and 33% have an extreme version of it, and often executives have no one to go to for help. To remedy this, I have a burnout seminar for individuals with multiple techniques over the course of 6 weeks that are shown to help to prevent and reverse this. Data shows that 67% of employees are not engaged, and factor in burnout, and that number will go significantly higher. Considering that burnout and engagement are closely related, we tackle both of these in my work with companies. Now, over 7 years, companies with more engaged workers grew revenue 2.5 times as much as companies with less engaged workers. More data shows that 51% of workers in the US are actively looking for a job. 58% of companies are offering wellness programs for employees. So if you're not doing this, then it's likely that your competition is. And up to 29% of employees say that they would change jobs for benefits like this. And burnout and mental stress qualify to use FMLA protection. That's the Family and Medical Leave Act. And this is a federal law that guarantees employees up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave each year without a threat of job loss. So to prevent and overcome these issues, understanding the causes is a good place to start. First are difficult relationships with others at work. And that could be a negative or aggressive or unwelcoming boss or coworker. Bias, favoritism, unfair compensation, and a lack of trust can cause employees to be 2.3 times more likely to feel burnout. Poor organization, extreme demands, unclear expectations, and unrealistic deadlines causes a 70% likelihood of burnout. making a person feel ineffective, undervalued, or in danger of losing their job. Lack of communication and support from managers. Lack of support creates 70% more likelihood of becoming burnt out. Lack of appreciation, significance, meaning in their work, or belonging. A job description that's not matching the job, and these might be just continuous extra tasks building up. The feeling of little or no control over their work. Lack of socialization or relaxation. A sedentary lifestyle, such as sitting at your desk all day. Chronic stress, and more, but those are the main ones. After knowing the causes, the next step for managers is to recognize and identify the at-risk positions for this and when a person has this or is going in the direction of burnout. Burnout typically occurs from work pressures. So to know if your employees have burnout, some of the signs are dread for their day or not having any passion in their life, easily frustrated or having a lack of patience, overwhelmed, and that's difficulty following through or finishing on projects, often tired or unmotivated. They move slower than usual. They don't socialize with coworkers or feel belonging. They say things that they later regret. They have trouble listening or paying attention. They have trouble focusing and remembering things, and they're often late and flustered. Physical symptoms are headaches, back pain and muscle pain or eye strain, people that are often ill, and lots of stimulants. That could be coffee and sugary foods during the day, sleeping pills and alcohol at night. Studies show that high-risk jobs are medical residents, financial professionals, social workers, people in design jobs, teachers, attorneys, law enforcement, accountant, and those in retail. So for at-risk employees and positions, or employees that are experiencing these symptoms, not recognizing this is risking not only their happiness, but also their relationship, their health, and anything that's important to them. It's no different than knowing that an employee has a drug problem due to their work and not doing anything about it. And it's typically not isolated. So if one person has it, there's often others in the same organization that does as well. Now, to go through the solutions, motivation won't help someone out of burnout. That's like trying to motivate someone out of diabetes or depression. Yes, they need to make changes, but they need appreciation, education, techniques, and possibly a lighter or more organized workload to start. They need to feel that the sacrifices they're making provide meaning. They need to feel belonging, significance, and security, and to feel cared and supported for by the company and that they have a voice there. They need to feel that their values match the values of the company, and they need to feel that they're partners rather than being parented by their managers. And I cover all this in detail in my anti-burnout seminar for companies. But to go through a few of the things, the basics and the foundation to avoid burnout are health and wellness programs that are creating an overall feeling that they're in control through discipline, which is not necessarily willpower, which most people have difficulty with. This is a simple education on foods that are shown to cause mood swings, anxiety, inflammation, bloating, aches and pains, and fatigue. This is mainly avoiding inflammatory foods. That's sugar and refined grains, fried food, pasteurized dairy, processed foods, and artificial sweeteners, which are the main offenders. My seminar for individuals offers an entire diet plan with meals, video recipes, exercises, and stretching programs that employees can do at home in 15 minutes a day to lose weight or gain muscle, or even right in the office. And there's over 100 videos to show them how. Also helpful herbs, essential oils, and how to use them, and so much more. It also includes a comprehensive meditation and sleep program as well. Now, as a company, offering paid food is helpful as well, but I know many companies can't do that, so group discounted foods can make up for that, and always have healthy choices that people love, but most importantly, never offer sugary or unhealthy or fried food such as donut day or free candy in the office or anything like that. And if you want to know why, notice the difference of how you feel 10 minutes after you eat a green vegetable juice versus eating a donut or something like that. Next is partnerships and goals. And that means going over goals for the company and their goals and offering them options on what jobs and tasks they would like for their contribution. This also means understanding communication exercises and what to say and what not to say to employees, and also how to offer criticism in a way that can be heard and implemented. Also, collaborating with goal setting and offering employees a voice in setting performance expectations that are fair, relevant, and yet challenging for them. This helps employees to define success in their roles. Weekly conversations should be employee-focused versus company needs, and that can include what are the barriers to their success and if expectations are current and realistic. These should be strength-based versus pointing out weaknesses, and achievement-focused versus what hasn't been accomplished. And we go over the many ways to do this so that they can get what they want, translating to higher productivity while avoiding micromanagement. An employee should know that they have the opportunity for communication for any topic so that they don't have to feel dread to communicate something that they're not happy about or is getting in their way. Encouraging them to request what they need and providing avenues for that will favor production and forward movement. Most organizations pride themselves on communication top-down, but few have mastered the art of conversing upwards. That means training managers to take feedback from their employees and to have them know how to accept that. A study conducted by the Center of Creative Leadership, focusing on factors that accounted for manager success, found that top managers had the highest scores on affection, expressed, and wanted. Next is social support groups. Now, in mentoring support groups for over 10 years, I've developed a format with questions that employees can all participate in without making them feel judged, while having the ability to vent and seek help or advice for issues that they're dealing with in and out of the office. Also, take pride in their accomplishments and develop a strong sense of community, which is crucial for avoiding burnout and increasing engagement. Next is time management, and that's evaluation of priorities, to-do lists, organization, and scheduling, and using techniques for focusing and efficiency. Most people want to do this but don't, and when done properly with well-trained managers, efficiency and engagement soars and burnout is reduced. Performance job analysis is to analyze, eliminate, and delegate unnecessary work, and this is part of time management as well. Recognizing strengths and eliminating distractions and busy work and other issues getting in the way of what a person does best increases production. Also, organized sitting, and this is done with options for standing desk add-ons, ergonomic chairs, desk stretches to avoid neck, back, and other aches and pains and sitting disease. And these are some of what I call in my program the $10,000 a month raise. Now, obviously you can't do this, especially for everyone, but you can develop a plan to offer employees support and benefits that translates to this at minimal or no cost to employees. This could happen with group discounts for office food, gym membership, entertainment subscriptions, and so much more. Further in my seminar, we answer the question of how can employees be made to feel overwhelmed with appreciation for what you're offering and in your actions and in your words. If they know that they're appreciated to this extent, they won't get burnt out or resentful. This is done with recognition programs, flexible work hours, discount programs, wellness competitions, gift cards, growth opportunities for personal development, events that promote work friendships, employee-taught learning programs, just as a few examples. This is what I call the local restaurant effect. That's the place that you go to in your neighborhood that may not have the best food, but you keep going back because they know your name and they treat you and your friends well. Now, all that I mentioned so far is the bare minimum. A lot of people who teach engagement use some of these tools, but I can tell you it's a con game. Yes, without them, employees will leave, and if you make a big deal of them, they'll recognize this as a carrot in front of the donkey. That is, you do what I want, and I'll ration out a little bit more of what you want. Yes, you have to offer these, but they're nothing special in today's workplace. The bottom line is engagement is an outcome, not a strategy. Trying to manage this is an endless job with many fires to extinguish, just like any problem that you just throw money at. Emotional engagement is what you want to be offering. This moves a person to passion with what they do and is proven to produce 4 to 6 times more discretionary effort. Managers must understand individual core or driving needs. This is an understanding if someone is looking for belonging versus significance or meaning and security or freedom. Remember that 67% of employees are not engaged. So this is a twofold plan to avoid burnout and resentment and also engage them at the same time. Engaged versus emotionally charged is the difference between commitment versus passion, loyalty versus intensity, care versus devotion, and effort versus enthusiasm. This is the difference between how you engage when you know what is required of you versus how you engage at work when you feel that what you're doing allows you to fit in, have meaning, stands for something, feel cared and supported because your employer is invested in and supports you. When you're experiencing your core needs, such as significance if that's yours, your brain produces oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine, and you're able to override negative feelings and fatigue and remain focused and excited about what you're doing. These hormones literally give you energy when you don't have any. Maybe you've had the experience of being at a party with your friends or family and you couldn't believe that you were still awake because you were so tired, exhausted yet having fun and excited to continue to stay up because you were around people that you knew loved and supported you. The opposite of this is also true. When you are energized, well slept, have a well-fed brain that can focus attention, regulate emotions, notice connections, predict outcomes, and make smart decisions, you're at your best. But if you're not feeling supported, appreciation, security, and belonging, then you'll produce cortisol, limiting all of these functions. This happens when you feel underappreciated and not having your core or driving needs being met. Each one of us has one main driver that we require for motivation that can be summed up into 5 categories. This is called our core or driving need. And if that need is not met, we'll always be in some level of discontent, leading to disengagement, resentment, and a desire to exit the situation or spend as little time and energy there as possible. When that need is being met, we're emotionally engaged, devoted, and go over and above what is required, and we respect and support those who are offering it to us. So to go over the 5 driving needs, the first is belonging. And this is acceptance and inclusion, or feeling part of a tribe or as an insider, intimacy from the group, and that your voice matters. Next is security. That's safety and protection, predictability and control, consistency and clarity, fair play, order, and structure. Next, we have freedom, and this is autonomy and independence, decision-making latitude, variety in what you do, ability to take risks, and make a difference and prove yourself. Next is significance, and that's respect and value, affirmations and acknowledgement, progress and productivity, distinction, power, and status. And last is meaning. This is purpose and making a difference, contribution, understanding the why, and creating positive change. Now, people are motivated mostly by one of these, and if you try to motivate them with one of the others, you'll take their energy and often cause resentment. That means that if you're addressing everyone the same way, that you're leaving many people out. That's offering what you want typically, not what they want. As an example, in a crisis, if you offer a person time off, which is freedom, when they want significance, they'll wind up resenting you because you took away the avenue for them to find your significance. This could be taken as you telling them that they can't do their job, or worse, that they're inept. These are people who use their work to define themselves and don't want time off when things are not going well in their life. You may have noticed that all people act differently when under stress or have crisis in their life, and this is a model to identify why and how they do. To offer another example, we all know that a divorce or a death in the family can break a person down, preventing them from being themselves for an extended period of time. In these cases, if you want to support your employees, don't just assume that they would want what you want. There's a number of questions you can ask them. First is, what's most important to you in this situation? What is burdening you or causing you stress that we may be able to help you with? And what can we do to offer you help in this situation? So the obvious question here is, how do you know which category a person is or what motivates them? Now you can practice finding out which category a person falls under and the currency that drives them by asking simple questions. And I have questionnaires for managers and in my support groups as well. And a simple question might be, what do you like or dislike about your job? And they'll tell you things such as, the company's so big that most people just go unnoticed, and that's someone who is trading the currency of significance. They might say, I love what the company is doing, and that's meaning and belonging, or I just feel part of a team, and that's belonging. It's the same like being on a first date where somebody might ask, what is the best or worst thing about your last relationship? What they're going to do is tell you that either they're not right for you, or you know what not to do, and exactly what you need to do to offer them support. So simply, you could just ask, what did you like about your former boss or your former job? And for things like belonging, they'll tell you, I just didn't feel like I belonged. And you could also see this in their actions. This would look like somebody who is gossiping, complaining, or attempting to rally people against the company or to form cliques. For freedom, they might say something like, they were just too controlling. And this could look like employees that break simple rules or try to manipulate policy or anything like that. For significance, they'll say things like, I just didn't feel valued there. And this could look like somebody who's bullying their coworkers or trying to take credit for other people's ideas or lashing out at others to show that they have significance, such as political power in the company or trying to take power in some other way. So there are so many signs once you know and understand these. So the person who is in a meeting who is constantly cutting people off to let everybody know how much they know about different topics that might come off as a know-it-all is someone who's looking for significance. A newly promoted supervisor who still wants to be one of the gang and hesitates to hold their former coworkers accountable, this is someone who wants belonging. Now, when a man is feeling a lack of security, typically men get quiet, like an animal would who is hunting. But a woman who's less physically powerful by nature, the way for them to have protection is with communication. So a quiet man or a very talkative woman may be seeking security. And by the way, I never use employee surveys for this or anything else. That's another con game. Although companies might have good intentions for this at first, often by the time they get to offering the results of the survey, 6 months have passed by and employees are resentful that they didn't get what they asked for, and then there's a whole new set of problems already. Nobody feels respected when they're given a survey because most of the problems are already known by everyone. Think about if your spouse was building resentment, how giving them a survey would make them feel. This is why conversations and possibly therapy as a support group work better and continuous improvements made. Once you know a person's driving need, managers need to take actions, have conversations, and offer positions based on this. If you're sending your employees out without appreciation and their particular need met, you're risking resentment leading to burnout. The easiest way to safeguard against burnout is to identify and offer their core need that means the most to them. And once you do this, then you'll be able to help induce these positive energy driving hormones that we mentioned in their everyday work, in their conversations, and how you treat them. In my anti-burnout seminar for companies, I also offer specific scripts on how you can be sure that new hires are a match for you and your current employees and your values, and also scripts for typical problems and recognitions, also announcements and achievements, specific questions to ask in your support groups for your managers to discover their driving needs, and also how to build a team where coworkers support each other and they can bond together. Also, the 18 principles of engagement that every employee must have, guidelines for interesting meetings, and a mind, body, and energetic approach to avoiding burnout, including foods to avoid in the office, stretching programs, and exercise programs. And there's also constant trends happening with benefits and employee value propositions. And I go over all of them in my seminar and what the largest companies are doing and how you can offer a scaled down version of this for your company as well. We also go over how to update and build a culture that will actually impact engagement and virtually eliminate the possibility of burnout in your organization, and much more. This is the only program that addresses all of the causes of this and offers a complete guide on how to overcome burnout in the workplace, as well as increase engagement and keeping your employees excited about coming to work every day. That will help retention to soar, as well as lower sick days, the divorce rate, and create a safer environment and eliminate other health issues. And when they retire, they can look back and think those were the best years of my life, all while increasing production, profits, lowering cost, and increasing customer service and keeping your customers happy. Considering 80% of workers are stressed at work, according to the American Institute of Stress, even for someone not burnt out, this program is a kind of preventative approach to avoiding it, which is always easier than seeking a cure after the fact. One thing I've noticed is that whenever anxiety, chronic stress, or resentment begins to build in a workplace, even at the smallest level, it can take over like a disease. And the longer you wait to address it, the worse it gets. Below you'll find an email to contact me with any questions you may have, or to set up a call so that together we can create an environment that you're proud of and that your employees can be excited to come to work to every day. I look forward to hearing from you.